What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm Crunch Chocolate, and I'm here with my show bros. Come on, Sharpie Charlie. How's it going? How's it going? How you feeling?
Tom, you slid in here real quick, man. Good to see you, bro.
I know, right? Boop.
Oh yeah. For my Woso heads out there, we were just recording our latest episode of the 12. Y'all should go check that out. Very big news. Treb and DP were very excited with today's news. We'll just put it that
Sure. Big day for Arsenal. Big day. But yeah, man, I'm good, bro.
Yes.
Happy to be here. Big night.
Well, all the traditional things. Let's get these streaming stuff out of the way. If you're watching, please on YouTube, thumbs up, hit that like, subscribe if you're new to us. If you're listening on a podcast, rate, review, subscribe to the channel. If this is the first time you are finding us. To all those on Twitter, hey, how about you like, retweet, quote tweet the stream, all of those great things. Oh, but let's get into it. We are here with the homie. He's coming and kicking with us once again. The OG, triple OG, double OG, triple OG, Tosin Makinde.
What's going on,
man? How are you feeling?
I'm good. I can't complain, man. I'm black, I'm alive, and two great things to be. He's black and alive, so I'm great.
Right.
So the best. To the best. Preach.
Yeah. So can't complain at all. How are you guys doing? You good?
Yes. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
Life is good over here, especially in footy world. I feel like you can't be high as a Woso fan. And the men, you know what they do. So it's solid. It's a good night.
Yeah. It must be nice. Must be nice.
We appreciate the blessings. We don't, can't block the blessings.
Listen, we were just talking about how Mark Skinner is actually playing. Like, Manchester United might be the most exciting team in the WSL right now. Like,
we'll get it.
They scored the same goal. They scored the same goal twice in 4 minutes.
We'll get into it. We'll get into Mark Skinner because his tether is Eric Ten Hag, but we'll get into that.
It definitely is. 100%.
We'll get into that.
It's time. There'll be time.
Well, we want to start off with big upping you, honestly, because I saw you sharing that, as a little like humble brag. You're just like, hey, I got added to this new thing. I don't know, just like big football influencers, changing the global identity and mentality of football and all that stuff. I'm doing the black thing where I put too much on love, so it sounds like hate. So back a little bit. I apologize, but
it's all good.
Like, we're happy for you. It's super dope. It's most deserved and earned. But tell us a little bit about it.
So Versus, is most people know what it is, but if you don't, Versus is this big UK outlet that covers football, and they do it in the most unique way. So big shout out to Maya and Corey, two people that I know over there. And basically they came with a list of like the 50 most influential people. That includes professional players. Trent Alexander was on it. Alex Iwobi and a few other professional players were on there, and just people who have done great things in the sport. Shout out to my guy Ted from Venetia, who was at Venetia, now it's at Athens. So a bunch of really cool people that's on the list. I actually randomly woke up to an email. So I took a nap on like a Saturday, and I got an email from Corey, and so it was on the list, and I was like, huh? Because I never ever ask people to vote for me for things like this. I just do work and just go to sleep. That's really what I do. I don't really care too much about accolades and things like that. So to see that people voted for me and like I got on that was really cool. So it's nice to see that, like, when you put in work, things happen. It might not happen overnight. It might not happen a year or two within, but you're just constantly just putting in work and just constantly just, putting your head down and just trying to, see where it goes. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my Shirtless Plantain Show, brothers. I'll tell you that much, because honestly, I didn't want to do anything with football. We'll get into that later, but I never cared to like work in the sport or do anything related to football, even though I've been watching it and playing, refereeing my whole life. I just didn't give a damn about it. And then when we started, that's kind of when I really started to like make more content, start doing more things in the sport.
And I mean, I know that's later in the docket, but we can move it up, especially since it's like
Yeah.
seamlessly transitioned into this. So tell us a little bit about Shirtless Plantain Show.
So we started it the World Cup 2018. One of the homies was moving back to where he lived after staying in another city, and just kind of got bullied into doing it. If you don't know, like I don't really like showing my face on social. I don't really like posting anything. And they were kind of like, we're gonna start a YouTube show, and I was like, cool. It's like, who's gonna be the face of it? Who's gonna be doing the videos? And like, you are. And I was like, I don't show my face. Basically, I got bullied into doing it, and it was a great thing because it wasn't just them. It was one of my other homies too, Joel. His name is Joel Trini. He's a producer, and Joel has always told me for a while, like, yo, you should really get into doing soccer stuff. And I was like, man, I don't give a damn. I'm just tweet recklessly. And this is like before, like, you know, and I've wiped my account so you can never see those tweets. But I used to be very wild on Twitter and you say a lot of things that thank God you can't see it and nobody can screenshot it because it doesn't exist. So
The twit wipe is so essential. Like people don't get that. Anytime you start to make moves, just go back. Just anything pre-Trump, just let it go.
Yeah, so you know, they really just kind of pushed me to doing it. And Shirtless Plantain Show was just born out of like 4 Nigerian brothers who, you know, we became super close friends before we started that. We've already like super close, and doing the show together as your friends, and you know, we're basically brothers at this point. It makes your bond stronger. You know, you kind of test each other, you push each other's limits, and those are my guys, man. Those are truly like my brothers, and I'll do anything for them. And they could call me at like 1 a.m. and I'll do anything for them. So basically, we just kind of started this together, and we started doing, you know, YouTube at first. We got into podcasting, back into YouTube, but we also do merch as well. So let me tilt my camera back. That pink jersey is what we designed. That's our first ever soccer jersey. So everything's in house as far as like designs and everything, and it's just a beautiful thing to see like what you can build with your brothers, man. And you guys are doing the same thing. So it's always it's much better to do things together than doing it individually. So that's basically what I'll say about that.
Yes.
So yeah.
So can I get a follow-up, Crump? So I know like a big part, we talked earlier when we first got on, like who inspired the design. That's obviously Enter Design. You said you've done other inspirational things. For you, this is not in the docket, so I'm gonna throw you off a little bit. What does culture mean to you? Like to be of the culture, to put forth the culture, to represent this sport from the foundation, like we are talking about it from that perspective.
I think this is really just debate the way that you were raised in the sport, right? Or just the way you were raised, period. So how do you take what's naturally ingrained into you and how do you make everything kind of work? So I'm very lucky and privileged to be Nigerian, British, and American at the same time. So I come from 3 different worlds, right? So it's like, how do I balance all these different things that I grew up, you know, and I'm, you know, I love different random things. So it's just like one day I'll just be listening to UK rap, or one day I'll be listening to, you know, American rap. So it's like, how do you balance these things? It's not just I'm also a soccer fan. I'm a big NFL fan. I'm sure you guys probably know this. I'm from Baltimore, so I'm a big Ravens fan. So it's like, how do you take all these things and make it into one, right? So that's what culture is for me. It's like being truly authentic to yourself and not really being like caring, you know, because some people can really be into anime and that's their thing, you know. Do what you love, and that's really what it is for me with culture. Is like be truly authentic to yourself and what you love. That's kind of it for me.
That's dope. Never heard it put so like efficiently, but like very poignant, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Great follow-up question. Let's dive into a little Premier League.
Okay.
But we're gonna hop out of it because you know that whole chaos of that league, we could be there forever. But in our throne at Manchester City, you know, outside of us, and there's Liverpool and Arsenal, who are your top 3. I guess the bottom 3 of the top 3 of the others. Who are the other 3 of the 6? Goodness gracious.
Aston Villa they're doing very well. So, you know, shout out to Sir Alex Ferguson last year for calling it out. I think Aston Villa doing well. John Duran is insane. He scored again today, by the way, for Colombia. So their jerseys look better.
That kid is fire. That's one of the best kids I've ever seen in my life.
It looks better off the field than on the field. It actually doesn't look good on the field. It looks better like as like a fashion piece. But I think Aston Villa is going to be up there. Chelsea, as much as it pains me to say that, and I think Tottenham will round it out. I just don't see anything good with United right now. I think we're gonna lose on Saturday, actually. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think it's gonna be Aston Villa, Chelsea, and Tottenham who's gonna kind of round it out. But I do think that Arsenal and City are like a class above everybody else. I think that those two teams are just really just head over like shoulders everybody else. So
that's interesting that you think there's a gap, like a tier 1A and a 1B. What is the gap for you? What is Liverpool missing that doesn't put them up there for you?
Just Arsenal's hard to score against, man. Like you have Saliba and Gabriel, just two grown-ass men in defense, right? And then City's obviously City. We don't need to get into that because I'm not going to do that. But Arsenal's
Go ahead and
like,
give us all the props you want to give us, my guy.
He doesn't
never. That's never going to happen.
Nice way of saying, let's keep it moving.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
You're on the tier. That's enough. It's self-explanatory when you're on that level. Okay.
Yeah, and it's just like I'm praising Arsenal. I literally, as a kid, we used to fight as kids, me and Arsenal fans. Literally in primary school, we used to get into fights. So me praising Arsenal right now is an insane thing for me to even grow. Eight-year-old me is disgusted at me right now. Cannot believe I'm
your
doing
inner child
this.
is sick.
Says the man who has a podcast with 2 other Arsenal fans.
3 other Arsenal fans. Yeah. I mean, those are my brothers.
3 other Arsenal fans. Excuse me.
Yeah, I can't help who they love. I accept them for who they are. But
Man said love is love.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think Arsenal right now, they're finally like, I think they've all finally grown up as a team, right? Like you can see like they're very efficient. And I think for me, Bukayo Saka in a weird way is actually very underrated. And I watch him, I'm just like, yo, this kid is like really efficient. I think that's the biggest compliment I could pay him is that like he knows when to pass the ball, when to shoot the ball. And I just think Arsenal and City are just way ahead of everybody else. And I think for me, Liverpool kind of sometimes, I just want to see what they're going to look like when they face harder teams. But they look good. They look good so far. I can't even deny the fact that, has them looking a lot better than I thought they would. I thought they would struggle, but they look good. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's go move to La Liga.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about both Madrid clubs, their start to the season? Overperforming, underperforming, or exactly what you would expect?
So Real Madrid, I think in a weird way, I'm not shocked because obviously Mbappe, like I said, they got more left wingers in the Cuban Revolution. They just got way too many. Everybody wants to be in the left, like every single player. If it's Rodrigo, Mbappe, Vinny, everybody wants to be in left, right? And it's like they're trying to figure out their balance with that, and they're getting into it, right? They're slowly figuring it out. Endrick is also still there, so they're figuring it out. As far as Atletico Madrid, I mean, Diego Simeone, I don't want to say this to be me, but he is who he is. The nicest thing I can say about him is that his team plays exactly the way he played as a player. So I don't expect anything less than, thuggery from them. I don't expect nothing else less than them. So the table is actually weird. Like I think the weird thing for me about La Liga is Barcelona, is how good they look under Hansi Flick. I think that's the biggest surprise for me is that, for example, you look at Rafinha, he's the captain, right? And you would have never thought Rafinha would be the captain and also doing very well at the same time. A couple weeks ago, before the season started, he was on the way out, according to rumors and stuff, and now he's the captain. So Barcelona's the biggest surprise for me, and they just keep churning players out in La Masia. They need to figure out the Spanish child labor laws, though, because they have a bunch of 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds playing, and it's just like, yo, like, y'all gonna keep
and then
ruining
they
these
run
kids.
them in the ground.
Yeah, I mean, what's it called? Hurt right now.
Hadrian got me as like my biggest what could have been, because I thought they were about to be Iniesta and Xavi, right? Like just the regen of like the midfield, and neither one of them can stay healthy for longer than like 10 matches at a time.
One of their young kids, the midfielder, I forgot his name. He's 17. He tore his ACL, and it's just like, yeah, it's like the kid was doing very well. He's tall as hell. I'll figure out his name, but it's very insane how they just churn out so much talent. But at the same time, it's like, yo, Barcelona has to figure out how to manage these kids as well. So it's Mark. There it is. No, it's not Mark, but yeah, they got a lot of talent. It's Mark Bernal. That's it. Mark Bernal's the kid. Yeah. The 17-year-old. Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So wait, let me give a quick follow up because we got to zoom in. It's a City show, but he's wearing Atletico Madrid shirt. What do you think about Julian Alvarez? Like, Was he worth the money? Was it more like City just kind of ran off on the plug?
I
Because when I
literally,
saw the number, I said good day. I said goodbye.
I literally was about to say Plies made a song, and you basically hit on the head. City hit a big lick with that. I think Julian is a talented kid. I watched him at River Plate with Enzo, and I think they're really talented. But spending that amount of money, and you still have we all seen what Samu did against Man United, and we all seen what Samu did in the Olympics. Is a very that's a player that I thought they would have kept. But honestly, spending that much money on Julian Alvarez and letting Samu go was kind of silly. But again, I'm not really a big fan of the way he's playing right now. I've seen them play in like different shapes, like 4-4-2 and the 3 in the back, and he's like out wide, and it's just like, what are you doing, man? Like it just doesn't look good. But again, this is the season has just started. We're back from another international break, so maybe you'll get his feet down during December, January, and kind of hit the ground running. But so far, I'm not really a big fan of it. The move, but City won. That's really the big thing for you guys. You guys won, so there's that.
That's amazing. When I made that question, I didn't think we would get to this place, but it felt natural. So to get you to say City won, job done. I might get off now. I don't know, but I've done enough.
There you go.
Appreciate you, Mo, for stopping by. Scarf boy. All right. Let's hop it over to Bundesliga then. Vincent Company and Bayern Munich, they seem to be back to their old ways, or do you think there's somebody else out there who can keep up the fight?
I am still trying to figure out if Leverkusen wants to be serious or not. I already know Dortmund's not. That's just in their DNA. Dortmund are just basically Tottenham in German. That's really the same thing. So that's all that they are. But they do win trophies, unlike Tottenham. So there's that. But I do think Bayern Munich do have an advantage over most teams. I mean, Michael Olise is a cheat code. Jamal Musiala is very good. They just need to figure out how to get Palhinha in. And I know a lot of Munich fans are going to be mad at me for saying this, but Kimmich is not a midfielder. I've said this before. He's a right back trying to cosplay as a center midfielder and needs to go to right back. That's where he belongs. Go to right back because you're not doing anything in midfield. But the defense is kind of leaky lately. I mean, they did, put hands and feet on that one team in the Champions League, but they've kind of leaked goals. So they just got to figure it all out. But I think Company, when he was at Burnley, you saw like he had a specific way he wants to play. It's like, I'll get relegated. I don't give a damn. I know how I want to play. So that's how it was for him. And he's kind of doing the same thing at Bayern, was just like, I know this is how I want my team to play, and it's going to be that way and that way only. So they have the talent there. Like I said, Michael Olise is just, every time I watch him, I'm just like, this kid is phenomenal. But he's been like that since championship days at Reading. If you watched him a few times at Reading, you knew he was going to be this special. So I do think it's Bayern's to lose, though. I don't think Leverkusen's going to be as serious as they were last year, but again, Xabi Alonso's another talented manager too. But my eyes are really on Stuttgart. Out of anybody in that league, I'm really a big fan of Sebastian Hoeneß. So I'm really interested to see how they're doing things. And Leipzig are playing a 4-4-2. So again, everything in football is cyclical. Like we went from playing, 3 at the back, with Conte in 2015 to now 4-2-3-1, and now 4-4-2 is kind of in vogue now. So it's everything cyclical. So I'm always interested in like the tactical changes Germany does, because that league, they refuse to defend. So they do whatever they want over there. So.
Like I think their base principle is like goals are fun. Like we want to score. Our goal is to score more goals than you, not to concede fewer. And like that mindset, when you turn on any Bundesliga match or Bundesliga 2, like they go. Yeah. And I know I love it. You hit on Stuttgart, and now I'm gonna tie this back to your favorite club, man. Are you looking at that manager because that's the type of, in your next iteration, whenever it happens, like that's the type of manager you want, the type of football you want to play?
So I've actually known about Hoeneß since last season, because I was like, how the hell is he getting Dennis Undav to be useful? That was my biggest thing, was just like Dennis Undav is actually getting a Germany call up. So I was actually interested to see like how Dennis Undav was playing with them. I just really think, when I look at managers, and I hate cross-sport comparisons, but I always think about like when I look at the NFL, and I had this like crazy, just crazy thought one day, and I was just like, it's wild to see how coaches, when they get hired young, they end up becoming the old guy, right? Like I remember when John Harbaugh got hired in 2008, he was a young guy, up and coming guy. Now he's, the second highest tenured coach in the league. And it just happens, it's cyclical where coaches get age really fast. That's just how life works. So for me, when I look at Man United, is always trying to find someone young and has fresh ideas. That's the most important thing. But it's also at the same time having that same structure to make sure he's doing well, because I don't want Seb Honus to come to a club where it's just in disarray, because you could be very talented, but then if the environment is not good, it's not going to work itself out. So Seb Honus is definitely on my list of like United coaches that I want next, but the top on my list is Kieran McKenna. We'll talk about that later, but yeah.
Okay.
You hit we hit on Vinny Company playing a very certain style of football. Like, at what point in the Champions League is it going to be during this group stage? Is it going to be during the knockout rounds, like early? At what point is that not going to work?
When they play against a team who can actually defend,
Like,
that's when it's not going to work. When you have a team who can actually defend, because he goes against a City or Arsenal or Inter, and good luck. That's all I have to say. It's like you're going against, the Salivas of the world, the Bastonis. Godspeed to you. So it works for now, but when you play against a team who's actually robust and actually knows how to defend and can hit you on the counter, then it's gonna get like that. But Company's the first pick. That is funny.
I wanted to actually stay on that. So there was a clip of the doc that he did with Burnley from his season there, and he was screaming at a player for basically being lazy during practice and screaming about mentality and all these other things, and people felt a way about it. When you saw that, what was your thoughts or opinions on the situation?
I've seen, so if you see behind me, the Red Predators, the metal studs, I've seen David Beckham get those thrown at him by Sir Alex Ferguson. So again, it doesn't really do anything for me. Like, there's a lot more crazier things that coaches have done. Like, yeah. So I've heard stories about this insane stories from my brother when he played about his coaches, my cousin. So it's just like, that just happens, man. You're in a competitive environment. It's testosterone. It's a bunch of guys just trying to win, and happens, man. Like, we're making nothing out of, trying to make something out of nothing. That's really it. It's the summertime. Your coach is trying to coach you, and he's pissed off. You're pissed off. It happens, man. They probably made up like an hour later. So,
yeah. Okay. I agree. That's very similar to a lot of experiences of coaches I've ever been around, and honestly, at Burnley, they do kind of need to get that stank off of them. It's very similar to what Ange is trying to do at Tottenham and what he's doing in all those pressers. He's trying to get the stank off of Tottenham, and some of the people just really feel comfortable in that blanket of stank. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do it for them there, but it's, it is what it is sometimes.
Yeah.
I think usually you have to earn that right. The better you're perceived as a manager, the more you can get away with, right? Mm-hmm. In American sports, we know Bobby Knight, Indiana, he was throwing chairs, but people thought he was winning. He won national championships, and so he got away with it. As a kid growing up, I'm like, I would never. First of all, I probably would have never had the opportunity. I'm only 5'9" and 3/4, but I would have never played for that man, because I was like, you're not going to be throwing chairs at me. But it was never a problem for the people that he played for, or that played for him, or that was, in the area, because it was like, oh, he's a winner. So it was surprising to me in a way, because Vinny hasn't proven it from a managerial perspective yet. And so I think there's a certain amount of kind of trading on his playing days that he's getting away with right now, because it's so new. Yeah. The further he gets away from his playing days, if all he has to fall back on is Burnley type results, it won't last. So he's got to continue to thrive here at Bayern if he's going to want to get away with that, and that's going to be his style.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see what that's going to look like in the next future with him and Bayern, because we don't have too many black managers. So hopefully he does well. We can get more of us, but that's another story for another day.
Hold up, no, like, is there anybody else? Like,
No.
Is there anybody in France? In France,
No.
because there's nobody in England, Spain.
No. They know, like,
No,
I mean,
it's just him.
there's Liam Rossinier. I think he is. I can't remember where he's
Thank you.
coaching. He's in League On. Liam
Okay.
Rossinier.
Okay.
Yeah, he's coaching Strasbourg. But
Okay. Gotcha.
there's not really too many black coaches I can think about, man. And it's unfortunate because when I look back and I think about like all the black coaches, like the bigger clubs, the last one I can think about was Seedorf at Milan, and before that was probably.
At Barca,
Yeah, before Pep, like the dude, yeah, Frank Rijkaard, and that was
Rijkaard,
about
yeah.
it. Yeah, like we get mid-level jobs and like jobs like that, but at the top level, we don't get really jobs like that, and it's unfortunate. So,
damn, now we got to root for Bayern. Damn it, because we need a black representation. This man can't get high five. Shit.
I remember when I first started, well, early on, started watching Premier League or whatever. And I can't think of the guy's name, the light-skinned dude, little low fade. He used to be the manager at Norwich.
Chris Hughton.
Yep. And so it's because I wanted him to succeed because again, you don't see too many of those. So it's like I want you to do well, but you're in the wrong setup to try to do well, man. And so I don't think he's like flirted with top level jobs since then, but it's like championship or less.
I mean, even look at the referee. Sam Allison is the first black ref since 2008 in the Premier League. This is crazy to even think about. So, Courtney's here. What's up, Courtney? But yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man. It's a wild thing where just coaching, refereeing, we don't see any of it at all, and it's just tough. Just what can we do?
You, with your overflowing knowledge of football and eyeing talents, who are some like U21 footballers out there that you've been keeping your eye on?
There's so many players in the world, man, that just everywhere, it's
you got time to cook. Like, name as many as you want, because this is where people, they hear a name and then you like 3 years later, like, wait, how did that guy end up at Arsenal? Like,
are we like talking about like super obscure?
I don't care.
You can. There are levels. You can take this wherever you want it to go. You got.
I mean, John Duran would have been super obscured 3 years ago at Chicago Fire, and now he's like the best super sub in the Premier League. So,
I mean, you guys have Echeverry coming through, and I really like.
He's coming in January.
Yeah, I like Echeverry a lot. Who's that kid from Ecuador that Chelsea signed? It's gonna piss me off. I should know his name. He's like 17. It's gonna really piss me off because I think he starts for Chelsea. I mean, starts for it's Kennedy. Kendria Paez, the 17-year-old kid. He's coming to Chelsea in January. That kid is.
He played in Copa, right?
He did.
Wasn't he in Copa balling out?
He was. But those, like, honestly, it's just there's too many talented players. I think for me right now, though, I'm looking at Ethan Nwaeri from Arsenal. I think that's the one kid I'm like really excited about more than anybody because, again, I hate praising Arsenal, but it's just like this kid is just super, super talented. United do have a few in our academy. It's just I don't want to call anybody's name out because, again, we're the sort of club where you'd let Angel Gomez go, but let Scott McTominay play. So I just I'll let them do their thing. So
hold up, I'm gonna do a cross-sport comparison real quick. Then you come back because saying that you made that change, right? You saw the talent, you like, no, Gomez go, McTominay stay. It's kind of like how 2 NBA teams saw Luka Doncic and they were like, nah. It really was 3 teams. They're like, no, we don't need you, Luka. Like that's a wild thing when you look back on like past decisions because it's like you had an opportunity at true talent, generational talent, and then you were like, nah. I mean,
it happens all across every sport, right? Like, I mean, Lamar Jackson fell to 32nd, which was we all know that was
insane.
We all knew that was stupid at the time, and still, like, I remember New Orleans traded up to 14 because I remember that vividly. I was like, oh damn, they're gonna get him, and then nobody got him, and then we traded up in the last. And I'm just like, certain players they just stand out. But again, we're never behind the scenes enough to know what happens. But man, there's so many talented, but Ethan's the number one thing, the one player I'm looking at right now because, what's it called is obviously injured right now. Martin Odegaard is hurt. So it's kind of like, is he going to get enough minutes where he can show how talented he is? But when he does play, you can see how comfortable he is in the ball. That's the thing I look at when I look at talented kids is like, how comfortable you in the ball and how comfortable you making decisions when you want to pass. And that goes for men or women's football. It's like, how comfortable you when you receive the ball, how comfortable when you turn and pass the ball, because they're all physical specimens, man. Like, to play at the highest level, you have to be very talented, right? But it's like, how good are you under like turn under pressure? So that's what I look for always.
So it was easy to identify the offensive players. Is it harder when you're just watching to be like, oh, this kid that's a center back somewhere is gonna grow? Like, do any of those kind of stick out to you?
I mean, sometimes, yeah. I mean, like Lenny Euro, when you watch them at Lille, you just tell like 17, 18, like he's like that. There's no like, he's obviously a little wiry right now, he's a little skinny, but some players you could tell, like Rio Ferdinand is probably my favorite center back of all time. And Rio was getting England called up at 18. So it's just sometimes you just know some players are just, yeah. Rio went to the 98 World Cup. He didn't play, but he was there on the bench in 98 World Cup. So some players are they're just really, really good. Like, the coaches know, so.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, let's go back to the Plantain Show, because you started out humble beginnings, but you really have expanded, all of the different bits of SBS. And so this is a chance where we would like to know, where is it going? Shout out to the expansion shows that you have now. Give them, let us know what else you offer, and what else are you up to?
So we do obviously the Arsenal and Man United edition podcast. We also do the soccer edition from time to time, and then we also do the weekend review and the weekend preview. As far as like where we're going, the sky's the limit. It's just really just taking it in stride every single day and just figuring out, where our niche is and what fits us best and taking it from there. I mean, football doesn't end, right? Like, there's always something that happens. So it's just like, we can't cover everything. There's always something to cover. Like, for example, today, Man United announcing that Sir Alex Ferguson is no longer being an ambassador. It's like, and then you also have, Cristiano Ronaldo having been a baby today because he couldn't score against Scotland. So it's like, there's so much stuff that happens. And even like the other day, Nigeria and Libya, it's like, there's only but so much time in a day to like create content and talk about everything. So it's just like, how do you take everything in stride? So that's really it. The sky's the limit for us, though. It's like just trying to figure out, our niche and like what works best for us.
Is there ever like a fan response that like shocks you, like from a, like you'll like randomly hear from like League One fan saying like, oh, well, like, you all just talk about breasts like we're a body part, we're an actual team, and like try and give you like tactical breakdown, and you're just like, no, fuck that, your name is funny?
Nah, nobody does that. Like, I think the weirdest thing for me is those like going in public. Like, I live in New York, so it's like, I remember I watched United versus Liverpool, and I'm heading back to the train, and I'm talking to some guy. He had a ball, and we were just talking about football, and it's like, yo, is your name Tosin? I was like, what the fuck? I was like, why do you know my name? I was like, that is so weird. It was like, oh, I listen to your podcast. And like, that's the thing that weirds me out. It's just like, it's cool, but it's also just like, damn, like, you don't know me from anything, but you like know my work. So that's the crazy thing. That's the only thing that really trips me out. As far as the comments, like, I've learned a long time ago working on social never to look at the comments. Like, I don't look at comments like that, because good or bad, like, it's you don't need it to affect your mood. So I don't really like, even if somebody says something negative, it's just like, you do better than I want you to try and do something else. Like, you go ahead and like create your own stuff and let me see what you can do. So that's really it for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, now, so I really want to talk about like Alex Ferguson and like not having him be an ambassador anymore. Like, why? Like, what was there a rationale given behind that?
So I put out a YouTube video today talking about it. If you guys want to check that out, it's on the Shirtless Plantain Show's YouTube channel. Sir Alex Ferguson, and I'm gonna paraphrase what I talked about earlier today. He is the gift and the curse of Man United. The reason why the Glazers even took over the club is because of him. I'm not sure if people know this story, but I'm gonna go back into time. So Sir Alex Ferguson was really, really heavy into horse racing, and he had this horse called the Rock of Gibraltar. And he had an issue with McManus's, who owned the club at the time. They had the majority shares of the club. And before Man United was taken over, they had no debt. Like, there was literally just a club that really just ran on pure profit. Everything just came from the club, right? There was no owners. It was just pure profit. It was just dominance because of how well they did in the pitch. So Sir Alex and the McManuses got into it over a horse. Roy Keane told him to leave it alone. Sir Alex being the man that he is, because that's how successful he is, because he doesn't give a damn, right? He kept pushing and pushing. And McManus was like, all right, bet. F you and your horse. We're going to sell the club to the people that you hate the most. And he sold it to the Glazers. Now, here's how the Glazers took over the club. It was a leveraged buyout, which was technically illegal then, but now it's definitely really illegal. If you saw when Chelsea got bought over by Clear Lake, they basically told him, you can't run the club the way the Glazers ran the club. So Glazers basically took debt out. They took a loan out. They took all their money that they took on that debt and put it onto the club. So now you have this club with no debt and have massive debt now, right? So as the Glazers took over the club, they just siphoned it. They're like, listen, this is a cash cow. We're not going to put anything into it. Versus when City got taken over, you know, they poured billions into the club, right? Into infrastructure, into the stadium, into the women's program, into the academy. And that's why City kind of developed into the club that you see today, where United, because of Sir Alex Ferguson, the horse, were getting the milk drying out of the club. But at the same time, and this is why whenever people make fun of United for losing against Barcelona in 2009 and 2011, like, do you know when we saw Cristiano Ronaldo, we bought Michael Owen, Gabriel Obertan, and Antonio Valencia? That's who we replaced Cristiano Ronaldo with, because we're that destitute with money. And the thing that was the craziest for me is that Sir Alex still managed to keep this going. Like, he still won a Premier League title, and he realized in 2013, I can't do this no more. I can't compete with nobody else, because there was a time, I'll never forget, 2008 to like 2012, where David Gill and Sir Alex kept saying there's no value in the transfer market. So that's when Karim Benzema went to Madrid. Ribéry went to Munich. Silva went to you guys around that time. Aguero went to you guys from Atletico Madrid. So these are the times where United should have been buying players that normally they would have, but because of the Glazers and Sir Alex Ferguson, then the horse. So back to now, when he retired in 2013, he still was making decisions in a weird way. Like, that's why David Moyes came into power. So it's weird because it happened to Matt Busby as well. When like he was there, his shadow loomed heavy. And the same things happen now with Sir Alex, where it's like his shadow and his presence is still so heavy, because you hear people say all the time, oh, Maynard's not playing the United way. Well, there's no such thing as a United way. The only United way that I know is a nonprofit. The United way that everyone talks about is the way that Sir Alex played, right? So to put to me,
it's crazy.
Me ranting, long story short, is basically Sir Alex, as great as he was, also had his flaws, and his flaws are why we are here, we are today. So basically, the club's in serious debt, and Ineos obviously took over as sporting directors, and they realized, like, damn, like, this club is broke, and we need to cut costs everywhere. Like, there's legit, like, leaks everywhere. So Sir Alex making £2.5 million a year just for being an ambassador. I mean, listen, I love him to death. That's like my old white grandpa. He has to go. He should have left. He should have left 11 years ago. He should not be making decisions at the club. He should have, like, Wenger did the same thing. Like, when Wenger left in 2018, Wenger was like, listen, I'm falling back. I'm not coming to the Emirates. Like, I love the club from a distance. I'm going to keep it pushing. And, you know, obviously they hired Unai Emery, and then they end up getting Mikel Arteta and kind of revamped everything. Edu came in and did his own thing, and they're doing well over there. But they don't have that presence of Wenger. Could you imagine if, like, every time, every game, you see Wenger in the stands, they pan into Wenger all the time. You see it all the time when United lose. It's like, oh, they pan into Sir Alex Ferguson. Like, don't have him there. It's the shadow is too heavy. Even when Oli was there, Oli basically was saying, like, oh, I can't park in a parking spot because that's where Sir Alex parks. It's like, yo, kind of weird shit is that? That's just weird. Yeah. So it's just like, I know in the grand scheme of things, the jokes are funny and United doing poorly, but it's like when you look at it in the context of like how everything happened, it's actually pretty pathetic as to like a big iconic club like this just went into shit because of some greedy owners. So long story short, Sir Alex is the reason why we're here today, because he loved this horse so much. So that's if you go ahead.
I've had this take for a couple years, and every time I say it, my show bro's kind of like, don't say that. That's not cool. Like, and I have to ask the United fan. I've said that if Alex Ferguson was going to continue to get the exposure to the club that he was getting, that United would not prosper until he passed away.
I mean, that's very morbid. I've heard that from other United fans. That's not something I would say out loud that like I've heard, but I've heard the same sentiment. I mean, I've heard Cowboys fans say the same thing about Jerry Jones. So
I think that's a fact. We all can see that is a fact. That man is done.
Listen, all I'm saying is that like sometimes you just gotta check your ego at the door, man. I think that a lot of times these guys, and that's why they're so successful at the same time, is because they just continuously want to dominate. And I always equate, and I hate, again, like I said, I hate cross-sport comparisons, but I have two favorite teams, right? I have the Ravens, I have Man United, and one is run really, really well, one is run really, really poorly. And I have two examples of what it looks like, of like, you know, what poor club looks like and what a well-run club looks like. When Ozzie Newsome left in 2018, I don't think a lot of people know that he's still hired by the Ravens. I don't think people know that Ozzie Newsome is still, you know, part of the Ravens organization. But what happened is he kind of moved to the back scene, and they let Eric DaCosta be the main face of the club. And it's just like he makes all the decisions. With Man United, it's like you look in the stands, Sir Alex is right there. It's like the pressure is like the eyes are on you all the time. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, I think that, you know, he has to kind of fall back a little bit and just enjoy his life. Go back to Scotland and enjoy your life.
So it might be a situation where it works out better for like the club as a whole, but fans initially might not like it.
I mean, Man United fans don't know what they like or what they don't like anymore, man. Everyone is mad at something or somebody. That's really it. The fan base at this point is just everyone's looking for a scapegoat and something to be mad at. You know, I was seeing last week how someone was saying, "Oh, this club doesn't score enough." I'm like, well, you don't create enough chances to score in the first place. So everyone is mad at everybody. You know, whether it's Rashford, whether it's Ugarte, someone is mad at something. And I don't care what Man United fans say anymore, man. Like, just go to therapy. That's really it. Just go to anger management and go figure it out in therapy, man. Like, just angry at everything for no reason.
It kind of feels to me like, oh, go ahead, Terry. You got it.
No. I saw it might be a cost-cutting measure. You know, Ineos came in and they've been trying to cut costs. They got rid of a lot of the backroom staff and folks like that. And so supposedly he was getting paid, you know, multiple millions of dollars or pounds to be this ambassador. And it was just like, hey, we can save this money. I don't know if that's real or not, but I just think, to your point about United fans, there's some that understand that this is what's necessary for us to move on, but then there's another group that's they just take offense because it's, you know, Sir Alex, and like you said, he's their white grandpa, so they take offense to that.
Yeah.
I feel like Man U is too big to fail, though. Like, eventually United is going to come back, right?
Have you seen these last 10 years?
I mean,
but I'm saying though, like, go ahead. Yeah, it's cyclical.
It's cyclical, man. Like, football and everything is cyclical. There was a time where Liverpool didn't win a single title since 1989. They won one recently. They're dominant. There's a time where City got relegated. You guys on top of the thing now. Arsenal were in the woods. Arsenal now competing for the Premier League. So it's all cyclical. I remember in 04, 05, Real Madrid hated to see Lyon. Lyon will whoop their ass every time in Champions League. And now Real Madrid are, you know, the dominant force in Champions League. So it's football just comes in cycles. It ebbs and flows. Eventually United will be fine. You know, it's Manchester United. They'll figure it out eventually, and might not be in my lifetime, but they'll figure it out. So, you know, at this rate, I'm about to be telling ghost stories to my grandkids. Like,
man said, that's insane. You're just like, bro,
see, that's Cowboys talk, right? Like, if you were a Cowboys fan, you probably would have that hope because you haven't seen one in 29 years at this point, right?
Yeah,
going on 30. Damn sure not winning. United, it really has been 12 years, 11 years, whatever.
11
12?
years. Yeah, 11
years. So it's like, it's in the grand scheme of history and like time and football, like timeline, not that long. Like, you can fuck around, and like in the next 3 years, if they just do simple, correct things, and any else and the people they hired, they're going to be fine. But it's just like, you got to do it. Like, and
it's the most simple things, like sign the right players, right? Just find the right profiles and have an actual identity. Like, I've said this over and over again. It's not that hard. Just hire the right people. But it's like they made the wrong decisions. They make the hard decisions that make no sense. It's like, why are you signing Mason Mount when you already have Bruno Fernandes? And that literally doesn't make any sense. It's like the dumb things that you do. It's like a little kid playing FIFA and just buying everything that he shouldn't be buying. It's like, yo, just stop. be an adult and just make smart decisions.
And they're
That's
so
really it.
messy. You're right. We know everything about them, like them reaching out to Stuttgart's manager over the summer. It's like,
But
why
that-
haven't
but-
they thought about this?
But that's the English media, because Man United sells stories. I never forget, it was an English, forget what journalist said it, but he said that it doesn't even have to be true. He was like, as long as Man United's name's on it, it's always gonna sell. And that's the saddest part. Is it's like
That's
it
fair.
doesn't even have to be true. You could just put like, for example, someone was saying Man United linked to Leon Goretzka. It's like, how does that even make any sense?
Right?
But because it's Manchester United, everyone's gonna think it's true. And it's like, why would we buy a German player who can't stay fit? We don't need that. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But again, it's Manchester United, so it sells. So it just is what it is.
Once y'all bought Casemiro, I was like, oh, this has to shift. No, that's running off on a plug. And Atletico was like, hey, Julian, you're young, you got potential, you're 23. Like, we could see it. Y'all said, no, Casemiro, we need you now. Come save us on your last legs.
I'm trying to remember this game where Real Madrid played against Shakhtar. It was in the Champions League. And I remember when it was I'll never forget this. I think it was 2022. I'm trying to remember.
That's when they were away at Shakhtar, right? And Shakhtar ran off on them.
No, it was behind closed doors. And I never forget, I saw Varane try to run to the ball. And he couldn't, because Varane was very fast when he was younger. And Varane ran to the ball, but he got outpaced by a Shakhtar player. And I was like, oh, he's cooked. So when we bought him, I was like, he did well for us, but I just knew like, oh, his time is up. And even when you watch Casemiro, towards the end of his Real Madrid career, you could kind of see like, oh, there's nothing left in that tank anymore. So that's just, again, those are the signings the Glazer would make. And this is the first summer Ineos made new transfers, and the only one I really wasn't too enthralled about was Ugarte. But listen, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, you're gonna miss some, but if you can get most of them right, make the right choices, and it's like I think the last step is obviously getting the right manager to pick the right players. So I hope that I hope one day it'll happen. I don't know when. I ain't gonna say I hope for it. One day it'll happen. But in time, all things happen.
Yeah. This is what it is.
Tom Bomb opened up this United can of worms.
I couldn't not talk. I couldn't not like it was timely. It was the news of the day. We had a United guest. Like, I mean, I can't even call myself a little J journalist if I don't even ask that. So, like,
hey, now
that's fair.
The tough questions must be asked. Big J journalist, right there.
But where other people we might be able to get like a fun rattled answer, he's a consummate professional. He was able to answer it with poise, gave us a little history lesson. It was hopeful yet incredibly bleak, but it's like, just do the right things, they'll figure it out eventually.
I mean, the thing for me is like, I've supported this club since 1995, right? And I'm not going to stop supporting United. But at the same time, I find my joy and peace in sports in the Baltimore Ravens. That's where I find my happiness. I have a black.
You hate
Who's your team? Who's your team?
The Chiefs. It's just like, don't worry about him.
Wait, who's his team? The Chiefs?
Yeah.
I mean, y'all beat us last year, so you should be happy.
Right.
Yeah. But listen, we got Derrick Henry now, so I'm very happy.
And we beat y'all with him too.
Big pickup.
Yeah, I mean, that was the first game.
with him too.
The first game.
Oh, that's a great question right here.
Do I think Inter repeats in Italy? I mean, yeah. They're so much better than everybody else. Like that 3-5-2 formation they play. And by the way, I forgot her name, but she was on Sky Sports last week and said the best under 25 player. And she kind of gave a really good answer, was Bastoni. And I love that answer because I think Bastoni and Barella are two of the most underrated players in the world. And you guys probably know this. I think the world of Lautaro Martinez. I adore Lautaro Martinez. I think he's incredibly annoying, but he's also incredibly very good. So yeah, I think Inter repeat. And Inzaghi's a really good manager. It's funny that he was the lesser brother playing, but he's the better brother coaching. So that's funny how that works out. So
big ups, Daniel T. Thanks for the question, man.
Great question. Okay, before we get you out of here, she might have missed it, but yeah, go ahead and address this. How did it feel?
I mean, it was cool. I think for me, I'm still in shock where it's like, oh, damn, people actually voted for me. That's insane. But it's just a testament to just keep working. Just honestly, just keep working, and you never know where it can take you. So feels good, but it's just one of those things. Just like that's cool. Put it in the back of the pocket. Let's keep working. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Overrated or and underrated. I'm gonna do the pair, but
Okay.
what is overrated thing about football, the sport, culture, fandom, rules, general opinion, etc.
Okay. What's overrated in football?
Yeah.
Same thing I said last time. The media. We have too much access to everything.
Nothing else is overrated. This is still the most like
It
over.
is. It is because we know too much. Like today, I had to mute somebody's account because they were posting players' girlfriends. Why are you doing that? Like, go outside and enjoy the air. Like, go find a hobby. Go rock climbing or something. We know too much. The most underrated thing about football. Ooh, I would have to say, like, how do I phrase this? I think watching other things outside of your purview. I think that there's so much good football and so many good players, and not just in men's football, but in women's football. So I think that the most underrated thing is that I know people say, oh, football's changed, it's boring, and this and that. It's like, no, there's so much quality out there that go and find it. Even if you're gonna watch USL, even gonna watch like NWSL, go watch football. There's so much fun that's happening. So for me, football is like there's a lot of very talented players. So that's the most underrated thing for me, is that there's just an insane amount of like talent and so much like good players. Like, for example, Seb Honas and Stuttgart, they play really, really good football. Go watch the Stuttgart game. That's so much talent over there. So even in Italy, go watch Como. I think Como played very well. Cess is their coach over there. So things like that. It's like I'm always watching something. You guys know that. Like I love this sport. Like just I watch everything. So yeah.
What's your setup? Is it multiple screens or do you just literally flick between stuff?
I have a big ass TV here, like a man. I have a 65-inch TV, so that's where the big game
mandatory.
goes. Yeah, and then I have a second screen. I have my MacBook, and then I have my phone. So I have like 4 screens. But I've been doing this since I was a kid, so I can watch multiple games at one time. But I don't recommend that for most people. It's not healthy. So there's that too.
It's not healthy, but it's really the only way to do it, bro. Like once you get used to it and you can like track your eyes, like my setup, I feel it. Like you got to see multiple things at once. Like college football Saturdays, we're locked in. And now with split screens and stuff, you can get a lot of games. Like ESPN app on Apple TV for any football fan. If you like Bundesliga, La Liga, get Apple TV, get the ESPN app. It's 4 games all the time. It's incredible.
And shout out to Maximo Perrone. He's currently on loan at Como. So when you said that, I was just like, yeah, let's go.
That's real, man. 65-inch is the way to go. Changes the game.
Well, okay, well, let's get you out of here. Thank you again.
You did have a question though about City. I had an answer for that.
Oh, you have it? Okay. I'll do it, Crunk, real quick. So if you had to be the manager, we talked a lot about managers to this hour. If you had to pick one current club in world football, who would you manage? What would be your starting 11 for that club? And then what are your tactics that you're going to use to break down City?
So first of all, I'm not going to manage the team. I'm just going to watch. I'm going to give it to Arsenal. I'm going to let Mikel Arteta play against you guys. Like I said earlier, I think that they're probably the best defensive team in the world. I think that, and this is just me just being a neutral right now. When you look at that team, that I was watching, I forgot who, it was against Southampton, right? There's a picture of like Rice, Saliba, Gabriel together, right? And I looked at them, I was like,
Giants.
Those are grown-ass men. I would not want to play against them. So I think for me, Arsenal, again, like I said, I'm not doing the tactics. I'm not doing the lineup. I'm just sitting there and watching Arsenal and City play. That's it. Because I think City and Arsenal for me are 1A and 1B in the world right now. I think it's hard to break either one of those teams down. And those two, I can't wait to see the way you guys are going to play against each other this season. I'm very excited about that because Arsenal have finally grown up. And City, obviously, you guys are missing Rodri. So it's going to be a very interesting clash to see how the tactics is going to work. Because, again, I think Mikel Arteta has learned a lot from his 2 coaches, the 2 Scottish men in his life, Alex McLeish and David Moyes. I think that everyone always thinks that he's learned from Wenger and Pep. It's like, no, he's a bastard. And he learned that from playing at Rangers and playing at Everton. So that's where his tactics come in. Like he could play attractive football, but also he could play like a real mid-table Premier League team when he wants to. And we've seen that. So I'm excited to see how those two teams play against each other. Like really excited.
Yeah. I respect the hell out of him and the club, but just when shenanigans happens, that's just when it's just like, come on, guys. Like they are just who they are, and we try to like not name them directly at this moment.
I'm just here for chaos, man. My team is bad. I want everybody else to suffer along with me.
There you go.
Okay.
That's really it.
Well, now, any more questions, Show Bros?
I'm all good, man.
All right. Oh, one last one. 4 games into the season, how much has your opinion of Mark Skinner changed as from where it was to start the season or last season?
We should have never let Casey Stoney go, and that should answer your question.
Okay.
All right. That is the correct answer. That is the correct answer.
Here you go.
Hey, question for you. You said
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
from New York, right?
I live in New York.
You live in New York.
Yeah, I live in New York. I'm from London and Baltimore, but I claim Baltimore a little bit heavier. But yeah,
You watch any NYCFC games or any
I
NYCFC
don't
matches?
watch as much as I should.
Okay.
The MLS Apple thing, it's quite expensive. You know,
Yeah, no, I get it.
that's a pair of Issey pants on sale. So you know,
Really broke that
There's
down.
that.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. No, I was just going to ask you about their left back, Christian McFarlane, 17-year-old that is going to sign with City here coming up on his 18th birthday. So I just didn't know if you had paid attention to him at all, being in the area.
yeah.
So.
You gotta talk to Tommy Battle about that. Tommy's the one who would know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tommy gets to
Mitchell
watch
probably
those
knows him
guys.
too. Yeah.
All right. Well, please plug yourself. Let people know where they can find you and the things that you do.
Don't follow me on Twitter. Follow the brand. I always say that. Like, I'm not that important. It's always about the brand. Follow the Shirtless Plantain Show. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. So yeah, just follow us everywhere, and we're just going to continue to make good football content for you guys. So, fellas, I appreciate you guys.
You should follow his account because, I mean, just because I asked for it, he made a video of Raheem Sterling getting like almost sexually assaulted to the song "Thick," and because I asked for it.
And honestly, his tweets will probably, if you're a fan of football and you're a part of like football Twitter, the giant sphere, I feel like one of his tweets will probably somehow end up in your feed. So
And the history parallels, like those are the jokes. Top tier.
We retired the history jokes. We let that die.
It was such a good time. It was such a good run though.
We let that die during the 2022 World Cup. We had to let that go, and the Griezmann black jokes. We had to let those die.
Yes, we did.
Those were a time, dog.
Yeah. And the Pickford jokes are gone now too. Just have to let him in the small arms go. Yeah, you know.
But it never. It's the gift that keeps giving. But yeah.
No, because
sometimes you have to let things go, man.
We evolve. We evolve. We move.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm gonna say I too was one of the people who enjoyed making fun of the small arms, but hey, if
shaming, it's body shaming, actually.
OG, triple OG says we got it, we're laying off him and his arms, we're doing it.
He plays for Everton. That's bad enough.
It's hard enough.
That's bad enough.
Yeah,
don't want to kick that man when he's down.
No,
right?
Nah, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that.
Empath, sympathetic.
Yeah. Sometimes we grow up, you know. Sometimes.
See,
Courtney.
I'm trying to get a studio job somewhere. I gotta grow up.
Yeah.
That's
time to get that bag. The bag is coming.
Right.
That's fair.
Versus 50 over here.
Well,
thank you, fellas. Appreciate you so much for your time.
Hey, we can't wait.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate it so much for coming on.
We will be doing a match preview for Man City Wolves tomorrow with Joshua Buckley from Whole Lot of Wolves. We have our lit stream on Thursday where we bring on 3 different guests to talk football. We have a kickoff show for Man City Wolves on Sunday at 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern. All that stuff. It's around. We'll be sharing it. Tap in with us. And we just do random shows when we bring on most dope people like Tosin. So
Thank you, fellas, once again.
see you all very soon. You know the vibes. Shady gang, shady gang, shady gang.